Indira College of Pharmacy. I would like to welcome you all for the third day of AICT sponsor online national conference on good pharmacy educational practices. A very good morning and warm welcome to respected Dr. Md Salahuddin sir. It's my great privilege to introduce our esteemed speaker, Dr. Md Salahuddin sir. He started his educational journey with B.Pharm, M.Pharm, and then PhD from VL College of Pharmacy, Raichur, Karnataka, under Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, Bangalore. His specialization is in pharmaceutical chemistry. He started his professional life as a medical representative at Glenmark Pharmaceutical and Bayer India Limited. Further, he also worked as product manager at Microlab, and he launched successfully 3 new products all over India. He started his academic life at Mesco College of Pharmacy, Hyderabad. Then he worked at VL College of Pharmacy, Raichur. And during this period, he completed his PhD from Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, Bangalore. Later, he served as professor and principal at Farukia College of Pharmacy, Mysore. He was on foreign university assignment and served as faculty as well as head examination control for Faculty of Pharmacy, Omal Al Mukhtar University, Libya. Currently, he is working as principal Al Amin College of Pharmacy, Bangalore. Dr. Md Salahuddin has 2 patents and 38 publications in the various national and international journals. He received 40 lakhs research grant from DRDO. He is an approved guide of M.Pharm and PhD of Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, Bangalore. Further, he also guided students at Omar Al Mukhtar University, Libya. He has chaired many sessions in conferences and has delivered many invited lectures in FDP, STTP, and career guidance programs in various institutions. Presently, he is working as member, Board of Examining Authority, Drug Control Department, Government of Karnataka. He is external member, BOS Pharmacy, Yenapoya University, Mangalore. He is General Secretary, Karnataka Pharmacy Colleges, Principals Association, Bangalore. He is respected member of many other committees and professional bodies. He has served as Chairman, BOS, UG Pharmacy, Academic Council member and faculty member, Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, Bangalore. He is actively involved in many social and community activities, including General Secretary, AMP Karnataka, President, KSAME, Mysore. He is life member of APTI, IPA, IPGA, and SAP. Sir, I feel honored to introduce you as I am one of your students and got opportunity to learn so many things from you. With this brief introduction, I would like to Dr. Md Salahuddin sir to begin his talk. Thank you, sir.
Very good morning and thank you so much, Sunil Kakkad, my student. It's been so nice to hear from you. My brief profile very much nicely presented, and happy to see you working for one of the best institutions of India, and proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
This is what a teacher achieves.
Yes.
That if a student has achieved wonderful in his life, a position, and that is what the Dakshina today do. And I am so happy to see my student reaching to so much of heights, working for one of the reputed institutions. I'm proud of you and all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
At the outset, thank you very much to the head of the Indira College of Pharmacy, Madam Joshi, Dr. Dayanand Kannur sir, as well as Madam Ingale for giving me an opportunity and making me part of this 4 days national conference of the AICT sponsored, and giving me an opportunity to be a representative, a resource person, and speak to the gathering. Nice to see a lot of registrations and more than around 100 people. I could able to attend the inauguration also, and it was so nice to see. Nice to hear the speakers, chief guests, and proud of the activity and proud to be part of it. Let me share my presentation first. Is my presentation visible?
Yes, sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Visible.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Very good morning. So thank you to the management, AICT, to the head, the principal, vice principal, the faculty members, and to all the students of Indira College of Pharmacy for conducting this 4 days national conference of the AICT sponsored on the theme Good Pharmacy Education Practices, which is most important at this juncture to discuss. I am sure you all will have the wonderful, the time, the good sharing of acquiring of knowledge, sharing of knowledge, and I'm sure these 4 days will make a lot of difference and contribution in achieving the good pharmacy practices in the pharmacy courses, and I'm sure that the people attending will take a lesson, will take some message and try to implement, and I'm sure the coming days are going to be much challenging, and we are going to make it much easier with following to the protocols and to the regulations, by discussions, by learning, and by disseminating the knowledge. Thank you so much. So today, as part of this good pharmacy education practices, I will be talking about the NAP National Education Policy and the pharmacy education, NAP and pharmacy education, which is most important. Probably the next 10 years, we are going to see the change or transformation of the entire education system, and for which we have to get ready. And this is one of the right platform on which we are going to, discuss, and we are going to definitely know much better about how to prepare best, how to survive in this competition. That's what we are going to take. So thank you so much to the authorities. The next 1 hour, I am trying to give you the best of how the national education policy, which has been given, and how it is going to be, favorable, how we can adjust to that policy, and we can, prepare ourselves. If we are not prepared, then we are out of the competition. That's how the survival of the fittest. Well, before I am going to make my presentation, I'm going to make it very clear that the opinions expressed in this presentation is solely of my personal and not from the organization I am associated with. And also the information provided in this presentation is purely authentic from the resources is being collected and it has been presented. It is nothing cooked up story or something which I feel that I have to present. It is from the authentic resources I am presenting my views. And some of the images I have used is from the public domain or from the open sources to make my concept more simple and understanding to this lecture. Well, we need to know first, before going to across to the NAP and pharmacy education, we need to know how the education policy has come into force in our country and what it has made the difference. If you see the education policy which was started in India after independence, is in the year 1948-1949. It is started as University Education Commission, which is now considered, it's called as the University Grants Commission, and this was started by the then Education Minister Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, and it was developed. The proposals to modernize Indian education system by the Union government, which has started, and I must say that this was one of the finest steps in order to bring up the education system in India. Though we had the colonial system, the education system of the Britishers, but still government of India, the then at that time, has brought a uniform education system which is going to favor to all the community, caste, creed, region, religion, everything, which has made today, if we are the best in giving the best quality education, I must say the Indians are having one of the best quality education system. It is because of the initiative that was taken in the year 1948-49 by establishing the University Education Commission. And whatever the upgradation we are seeing, whatever the education policy we are seeing, the implementation, it is part of the upgradation that has been brought in. And I'm proud to say that wherever you go, or out of the country, you can realize the value of our country's education system, which is the best, and that was started in 1948-49. And later this Secondary Education Commission, which was formed in 1952-53, and then later Later Education Commission in 1964 to 66 under Dr. D.S. Kothari, which was come into force, and it was modified and upgraded one of the University Education Commission, which was much accepted. But the first national education policy was established in 1968. Whatever you see, the education policy is same of that which was there in 1968, and this was the much the needed, regarded, and it was required for our education system. It was brought in, and it is been made in such a way that it makes everyone to learn. It was a component. But this 1968 education policy, which was the first education policy, I must say that, which is now again copy of part of the copy of the same of that which has been implemented in 2020. And whereas the national education policy, which was again been adopted, modified, and it was established, what we are having now, to which we wanted to bring up a change into national education policy 2020. The national education policy, which is been established in 1986 under the Prime Ministership of Rajiv Gandhi, this is what we are having right now. We wanted to bring it to the education policy 2020, and this national education policy, which was brought in 1986 in order to make a lot of difference, where the technology has been brought in. I don't say that that was one of the it is a change, but it was one of the prospective at that time that was discussed, because there the technology was adapted in 1986 what it has been brought in. But national education policy of 1986 is modified again in 92, that is as a program of action in 1992, where a lot of components of technology been discussed, modification in the curriculums has been done, and passing criteria and all those things have been brought in. And there we can see the accreditations and all has got in, and that's how that modification has come in. And again, in order to bring up the more of the competitive skill components and more of the skill based, the first committee of Subramaniam committee report was submitted in 2016 in order to bring up the new education policy, what we are seeing the implemented one. This committee which has submitted, and it was again been modified, and final report was submitted by Dr. K. Kasturi Rangan, and he has submitted a 484 pages drafted the national education policy, which was deliberated, and the cabinet has rightly approved. Now this committee, it has been implemented on last year, that is in 2020, 31st July 2020. This national education policy has come into force. Now, few of the states have already implemented, few of the courses curriculum they have already implemented, where it is very easily feasible, it has been brought in. But the transformation from the national education policy of 1986 to 2020, there is a lot of difference. I can say it is the two faces of coin. That means from heads to tails, you have to get change from yourself, from annual pattern to semester pattern, from passing criteria of the the class system to the grading system. These are all certain things which has to be transformed, and the entire you can say the curriculum has been brought into balance. But change from the A to B, it takes a lot of time.
Sir, sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
Sir, the slides are not moving, sir. Actually.
Is it? It is not.
Yes, it is stuck on the first slide itself.
Yeah. No, I'm just coming with a point wise.
Okay, fine. That's fine. Okay.
So the national education policy, which has been implemented on 31st July 2020, and now we need to know what is this national education policy 2020. And you know that we Indians are very competitive. We always try to bring up the more competitive competition. Probably India has the more number of universities, more number of institutions, more number of pharmacy colleges if you compare. When we compare the population wise, we talk about China. But when we compare about the institutions, we are much higher in any other country. If you see, whether it is universities, even pharmacy colleges, they have got more than 4,500 plus compared to any other institution. So as a pharmacist, if I say pharmacy college and all other things, we are the most competitive people. So we have to see that how we can move towards the learning about how to think critically and solve problems. Now, what is the difference between 1986 to the 2020 national education policy is that the 2020 national education policy which has been brought in is majorly based on the multidisciplinary holistic, and on the skill-based thinking, critical thinking activity. If I say that the present educational system, if I talk about only the pharmacy, if you see, we are not giving much opportunity for a critical thinking, for an ideation to the student. We have a drafted course curriculum to which we are just teaching in the classroom, and the same is being taught in the lab. And when the student goes to the industry, he is lacking behind a lot of skills which has been required right from communication itself. That's how there was a lacking in the education policy of 1986 or to the pharmacy regulations. Now we need to see that the regulation that has come, the education policy that has come, the National Education Policy 2020, which is creative. We made people to go across for creative thinking, look into the multidisciplinary. There is a multiple options to the student. I can say this policy is student centric. Student doesn't want to continue the studies. Even if he doesn't continue, he will get a certification for which he can join for any type of job for which he get a certificate. That's how means now in present situation, if you see, we don't have a critical thinking activity, we don't have creativity, we don't have multidisciplinary. If you join to the pharmacy, you have to study the pharmacy. If you join to the engineering of in that specialty like civil engineering you are joining, then you have to continue with the civil. You cannot talk about the mechanical engineering. You cannot talk about the architectural engineering. Similarly, in pharmacy, once you enter into the pharmacy, like we have a segregation in undergraduate itself. If you join PharmD, then you are completely on the clinical course. If you join B Pharma, then you are having the industrial course. So that is a segregation. PharmD people cannot study B Pharm course curriculum. B Pharm people cannot study the PharmD course curriculum. That's how there is a lot of differentiations, which that means I can say that there is a rigidity amongst these two courses. There is no flexibility. But once this National Education Policy of 2020 been implemented, there is going to be a flexibility. The student doesn't want to continue with B Pharm, want to continue with PharmD. He has a chance. He has a chance. He can go across. That's going to be part of this National Education Policy. And majorly, the pedagogy is that to evolve, make education more experiential, holistic, integrated, inquiry-driven, discovery-oriented, learner-centered, and discussion-based, flexible, and enjoyable. That means a student, the moment he gets up early in the morning, oh, today I am going to the college. I have to learn something. Yesterday evening, I thought some idea that this can be done. Okay, let me go and interact with my friends in the class. Let me tell to my teacher, to my principal, and the same thing can become a part of the curriculum. That's going to be the National Education Policy, but provided that has to be implemented in a properly, in a phase-wise manner. What we will be talking about, it may take some time, but it is going to be definitely the next generation will definitely enjoy this education system, because it is not just going to be a bookie. It is going to be part of the extra and co-curricular activities like that of the study, where the classroom, more than that, the field activity is going to be part of it. That's how the educational system is going to be, which we are going to take up to it. And then the curriculum, which includes the basic arts, the crafts, the humanities, the games, sports, and fitness. And more important over here is that what the National Education Policy is going to do, that giving the importance to regionalism, that is the language. If the course in Maharashtra has to be there, then the student has a choice to use Marathi as his means of the study and the communication there, because regional importance is being given. If a student is from Karnataka and he wanted to choose the regionalism, then he can choose Kannada. Then from Andhra, Telugu. From Tamil Nadu, Tamil. Likewise, the regional importance is also being given over here. That means I want to study this so and so course in the Marathi, then you are having every right to it. That's how the education policy says, because the regional importance, probably the communication, what you people know better, what Sunil Kakkad knows Marathi, I may not be knowing Marathi. So that means when a patient comes to interact with a person in Maharashtra, then he should know much better about a language rather than the course content. That's how it has been made. Means we are more comfortable. If you see across, if you go to Kerala, there is only Malayalam is being spoken over there. If you go to Tamil Nadu, there is only Tamil is being spoken by the people, but still the progress of the states is there. In Maharashtra also, Marathi is being spoken in most of the local places. That means regional language has more importance, and that's how this regional language is going to play very important
Sir,
role.
sorry to disturb you. The slides are not moving.
No, I'll be coming across, sir. Okay.
Yes, okay, sir. No problem.
Okay. So the curriculum must include the basic arts, the crafts, humanities, games, sports, and the fitness languages. More important, literature, culture, and values in addition to science and mathematics. That means pharmacy student cannot think of studying the arts. The pharmacy student cannot think of having the dance in the classroom. Okay, subject as one of the dance classroom, or music as one of the the literature wanted to subject. It is not possible now. But with the implementation of the national education policy, these are all going to be possible, to which we are going to take. What actually the objective of the national education policy? The objective is to have a holistic and multidisciplinary education approach, the soul of the national education policy. Multidisciplinary. If a Indira College of Pharmacy doesn't mean that it is only pharmacy. It is going to have the multiple educational courses where the pharmacy student will be having an option to choose as one of the holistic language, one of the holistic course, one of the literature course as part of the other subjects. Apart from the speciality in the courses, he will be having an option, and apart from that, the low language. That's how the objective. The aim is that the gross enrollment ratio, sorry, it is ratio, the GER is in higher education. The sole intention of the government is that the dropouts that are there, the students who wanted to study, even the poorest form, our gross enrollment ratio is just 26.3. With the implementation of the national education policy in this 2020, the intention is to make it to 50% by 2035. That means another 15 years, you can say, because we are in 2021. In another 15 years, we wanted to achieve this criteria of the gross enrollment ratio to 50%. That is going to be, that makes us the most educated country and the most powerful country in the world. We are, but when it comes to the literacy, we are lacking behind in most of the other countries comparison. So we need to improve that, and because of that, this objective of the national education policy. And students of science and technology, and more important, all the higher educational institutions. Now hereafter, you cannot call pharmacy college, engineering college. You have to call higher education institute. Indira College of Higher Education Institute of Pharmacy is an higher education institute, or it is going to be an university, autonomous. That's how it's going to be the criteria. So these shall be aimed to have the multidisciplinary by 2040. That means by another 20 years, the pharmacy college should have all the multidisciplinary, or you can say the management of the Shikshana Samsthe of the Indira College of Pharmacy. They are going Chanakya Shikshana Samsthe. They are going to have an opportunity, though they have the multi-educational campus. Now that campus is going to become one. That means the student of pharmacy will be having an option to choose other course. Right from first year, he can choose to second year to other course. Likewise, the academic credits are going to be part of it, and he is going to be having it to take into the multidisciplinary right over. So I can say after 10 or 15 years, the Indira College of Pharmacy is going to be a university or an autonomous institution where it itself is going to give the degrees. It itself is going to create the syllabus for the students. It is mandated. It is going to be compulsion. So that means the competition is very high. You cannot become the affiliated institution. You have to be part of the education system, and you yourself are going to be a university as a higher educational institute, an autonomous institution, or a university, whether it is a deemed university or a multi-educational institute having campus university. That's how. And students of science and technology can aim to learn more of arts, humanities, vocational subjects. Like I wanted to learn something on the auto electrician. I am being a pharmacist. Why I have to? I wanted to learn something on painting. I wanted to learn something on the digital media. Okay, That means now being a pharmacist, I cannot think of that how I can make, think about the digital media, or I can think about something learning about the 3D printing and all. These are all certain things which has been linked to the engineering. But in the coming days, this is all going to be possible, where we are going to, be part of it, and we are being given liberty to have the multidisciplinary course. Pharmacy can also learn arts, can also have humanities, vocational subjects you can choose as part of it, apart from the soft skills, and vice versa. Even arts people can choose one of the means of the subject of the pharmacy. So principle of national education policy is that the basic principle is to inculcate creativity. Whatever you have the idea, even every student in a classroom, there are 60 students, everyone will have some or the other idea. Some may be having a smaller idea, some may be having a bigger idea, but those ideas needs to be implemented. That's how the national education policy says. It has to be creativity, creative, scientific temper. You always have to think how to do something practically, the impossible things into possibility. That's how the implementation is going to be. Resilience and compassion along with ethical and moral values in students. This is something which is going to make you more of the field work and active if it is being implemented. However, the challenges are there of the implementation, but impossible it is not there. It is definitely going to be, because of that the timeline is very high. It is almost 1 decade for the implementation, second decade to get corrected and make it more effective in the implementation. And here we have to remember that a good educational institution like Indira College of Pharmacy is a place where a stimulating and safe environment, comfortable for students, exists. You want to continue, you will continue only with those institutions which are good. So likewise, even it is going to be a very competitive. So that means we have to make it more conducive environment. The resource we have to provide with the infrastructure, with the teachers' quality and innovative learning environment for the students. Here it is very important. Any institution says that we don't want to adapt the 3D technology or we don't want to adapt the teaching of online digital learning platforms, or we don't want to provide the ERPs in the institution. We want our students to learn on blackboard and chalk piece. Then such type of institutions gets perished. They cannot exist because the students itself neglect those institutions. They do not go for admission. They may take admission for 1 year, then immediately they have the chance to take exit and get to those institution admission which provides the better education. That means here it is all a competition about the quality. You provide quality, you attract students. You don't provide quality, then the students will run away and they have choice. You cannot force. Probably now the education system may be having where the student cannot leave the course in between and he cannot join any other institution in the same city or in the other premises or in the other university. Probably a student of second year B Pharma of Pune University cannot take the admission into the Marathwada University or in Ambedkar University because the regulations changes and there the policy changes and the regulation and the more important, the locality or the place where the student wanted to take, probably the institution might be good, place may not be good, the institution may be good, the student, the university rules and regulations may not be favoring. These are all differences we have right now. But with the implementation of this national education policy, there is going to be uniformity. Even a person of Pune University will have a chance to take admission or continue. If he is studying first year in Pune University, he can continue his second year in Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences in Karnataka. That's the policy which is giving flexibility to the student. So probably every student likes to have it. Anyone institution wanted to have it. You give good things, you attract the student. You give the best things, you attract the student. So that's how it is going to be the value added activity to the institutions. At all stages, you need to be alert. You have to provide the education, better education system to attract the students. Now coming up to the pharmacy, if you see, we have D Pharm, PharmD, PharmD, M.Pharm of different specializations, up to 14 different universities, up to 14 specializations we have. So if we go across the most of the pharmacy profession, there are 3 areas into which the students chooses to take responsibility as a job. One is the field practice, second is the industry where they go, and third is the other field where the field practice, like probably they open their own pharmacy store, community pharmacy, or they go into clinical pharmacy people usually, or M.Pharm in pharmacy practice, they go to clinical in hospitals, and many of them they open their own counseling clinics, and some of them they go and join to hospital, or they open their own hospital and open a pharmacy into it. That's how the field practice. And also here field practice, when I say marketing also comes for industry, where the people join and they get into practice and they get into the sales of the pharmaceutical products. When it comes to the other field where very less number, I don't say large number, because most of them 70 to 80% of the people choose to go to field practice, that because the money is good, their entrepreneurship is there, the employability is there, and the chance of having their own ownership is also there in the field practice. Whereas in the other field, academics, that is the teaching, then research probably into the industry or into the regulatory, probably of the industry or into the government services, but very less number will come to it. They all come as they are not much passionate for earning money, but they wanted to have a quality life. That's how this percentage of people choosing over here is around, I can say that around 5 to 8%. Whereas another 20 to 30% of the people, they choose the industry, where in industry it's a very large, and now it is a huge demanding and huge perks being provided in this field, like production, packaging, and all. Now I wanted to say that these are the courses that are being provided right now. After taking up after 2 years D Pharma, a person will go and open his own pharmacy store, or he can join some industry, or he can join to marketing. That's how it is happening. A B Pharma, a huge demand, around 3 to 4 lakhs of this package is getting presently, and he is choosing to join industry or field practice. And whereas if he goes for the master's course like PharmD PB or M.Pharm with different specializations, then other field is available. But other field is a very creamy, where the higher education people only are going to get the opportunity. Whereas the other two fields, like the industry as well as the field practice, people get even at the lower education, like the undergraduate or in the diploma level, they can get employed. Now, how this is going to change after the implementation of the national education policy, that we need to check out. Now we need to understand the Indian pharmaceutical education, how it is. If you see across the Indian pharmacy education, it is a dynamic profession. We need to first accept this, because the value you will come to know, as I told you, the value you will come to know only when you go to some other country. When I went to Libya, there is a lot of respect to the teachers or to the Indian people who get their degree, because ours is competitive based. Our education is competitive based. We don't have something like awarding or buying the degrees. We have the competition based, and we earn the degrees with knowledge and with hard work and examination system, which is very transparent. It is not like in other countries. So likewise, we become very tough. If you go across to any of the best institution, education system, then you can work in any other country that is been regarded. So that's how our educational system is. That in that pharmacy is a dynamic professional education for the development of the country and its healthcare. And not just the Indians have realized the value of the pharmacy profession during this pandemic time. Even the world has also understood that the India is a pharma hub, where the quality of education is very high, and the industry. But this is one way of understanding that the education system is very quality. But we are fighters. Because of that, we understand, we take up the competition, and we adapt, and we interpret, and we get ourselves corrected, and we take the situation into the most of the acceptable way. But the reality is that the pharmacy education is suffering with some of the drawbacks, the hindrances, due to the reasons. What are those reasons? Like entry of the students by chance. Many of the pharmacy people who come, probably even I have come to pharmacy because I tried medical, I didn't get, and then I tried to take one of the professional course into the agriculture. I didn't get. Then finally I got the notification. I saw that government notification. Then I have come to pharmacy. But I know 90% of the people who come to the profession, they come by chance, because they don't get the medical or dental or some other Ayush courses. They could not able to join. but they get it very easily. That is where this is one of the reason. Second reason is that there are people who come non-meritorious students into the course. This is also one of the reason. But when they come to this course, they find themselves that this is one of the best course and they adapt to the system. But here, if say that 90% like medical, those who choose to the the courses, they are all about 95, 98%, and that's how the profession. You don't have to worry about its quality. Automatically, that quality generates. But pharmacy people who come for the taking up the course, the quality is a challenge here. So that means those who come with 50% also, the pharmacy teachers will put efforts and make it to 70 to 80% in their knowledge and in their skills. That's how the credit goes to the teachers who put efforts to such type of student. So we have got a lot of challenge and hardship in order to bring the quality. It's not so easy like that of the other medical courses. When it comes to the another thing, non-focused and unspecialized way of learning, we don't have much of the the way of teaching. If you see across 90% of the institutions, I must accept this and confess that 90% of the institutions do not carry the technology or the professional way of teaching methodology. That's how we are lacking behind in quality. Though the industry is progressing, the other sectors are progressing, but when it comes to academics, there is a challenge. We have to accept this. That's where the national education policy I'm talking. That's where it is going to concentrate now. It is going to make every institution to work for quality, bring up the professionalism into their teaching methodology, otherwise perish. That's only the thing is that. So non-focused and unspecialized way of learning, mismatched curriculum and educational regulation. This is what it is going to be. We have a course, we are studying, but when a student has completed, has come to know that what he has to do in the industry, there is a lot of difference. What he has learned the technology in the institution, that technology is outdated. What he has to do in the industry, he has never heard about it. He has not seen at all, and he has been asked to operate. He says, "I don't know." Then they will say, "No, you are not eligible for this job." That's where mismatched curriculum and educational regulation. That means we don't have the practicability of the implementation, having same as that of the industry. That's why lack of ambition. Many of the pharmacy students, you see, even they come to third year, what do you want to do? Sir, I will see in fourth year. They come to fourth year, what do you want to do? I had about last 2 days back, one of the student, result came 2 months back, but still 2 months, since 2 months after completion of the B Pharma, she is thinking I should go to PharmD post-baccalaureate or I have to go to M.Pharm. If I go to M.Pharm, what specialty I should choose? Lack of ambition. You don't know where you want to do, what you want to do, where you want to go, what is your field of the knowledge. That's where we are lacking behind. Low quality institutions, I have told, many of the institutions just infrastructure is being provided, but now the things are not going to be so easy. They are improving, but maybe our regions are so tough, interiors are not accessible, internet facilities problem, the locality, and these are all certain things are there. But now when it comes to education, you cannot take risk. So this national education policy says you have to upgrade. You cannot talk about that I got the approval last 10 years back, so please give me with the same facilities. No, you have to upgrade. You have to provide the online platforms. You have to provide the multidisciplinary educational system, and you have to grow to autonomous. You cannot say that I am affiliated to Pune University, so I will continue with Pune University. There won't be any existence of Pune University. The institution itself has to become the autonomous and the university. That's the competition is going to be. Educators not enough salaried. This is the major challenge, but probably in the coming days, two things are going to happen. The not perfect or the unqualified or unprofessional teachers will not be there, because they are going to be assessed into the quality, and those who are better and best, they have to be paid, because if they do not work to such type of institution, then admissions will also not be there. Student will choose based on the facilities provided by the institution, based on the quality of the education, and based on the availability of the best quality teachers. That's all are going to play a very important. So the institution are bound to pay the enough salary, but in present situation, this is one of the major drawback. Unskilled ways of practical and lab training in the institutes. Yes, these are all certain problems are going to be where it is definitely the mismatch, as I have told you. Something a student is learning of 1947 in the lab, is doing some tests and all, which is not at all required now in industry, which is now being done by the machine. It is not required, you have to do manually. Automatically, the machine is doing for you. Then where it is required, why I have seen some of the institutions where they are using all 1947 microscope, which is outdated. That's where the problem is there. That I have seen one of the institution where the students are being taught on the latest technology, and then that institution got an examination center which is a very good old, and the students went over there and they saw that the microscope what they have used in one of the top and best institution, the same microscope is not available there. It is something old. They don't know how to operate. That is also the same for us. In educational institution something is there, and in industry something is there. So we are all missing into it, and unskilled ways of practical lab training we are doing it. Lack of industrial and clinical exposure, these are all certain things are happening. We don't have the industry institute partnership. Because of that, we are all lacking in our quality, in our professionalism, and it becomes very challenging now due to this implementation. Those institutions which are mismatched to the industry, to the job related, and to the, there is no collaboration between the industry and the institute, they will have a tougher time of implementation. However, those institutions which are already in quality way of implementation, using the digital technology, making it online classes, making the, the industry way of the teaching into the institution, for them it is a cakewalk for the implementation of this national education policy. And those institutions will have the survival of the fittest, and those institutions are going to rule the pharma industry, I can say that. And apart from this, yes, infrastructure facilities, laboratory facilities, and teaching faculty are also other major concerns. These are all certain problems we have, though we are regarded, as I told you, we are the pharma hub. We are being called as the best quality teachers in the world. Wherever you go, you apply for a job, you are always going to rule over that in that country. You will be paid much better than that country citizen, because I have seen personally, I was paid much better than the citizen of that country. That is why, or the dean, I can say the dean was getting lesser than the faculty of in that university. Means if you are better, you are being paid. You are the rolling coin. Now, to be rolling coin, we have to understand how we are going to take up this. Now we need to understand what actually this national education policy is going to be. So national education policy is general regulation, what they have made it the central regulation. It is now coming under the Ministry of Education. Earlier it was the MHRD. Now that MHRD has been now converted into the Ministry of Education. So under the Ministry of Education, they have the Higher Education Commission of India. So this higher education, it is similar to that of the, you can say, UGC or AICT. Now these are all not going to be functional. It is only going to be Higher Education Commission of India. Probably those UGC or the AICT may be there, but they are not the regulators. Even PCI is not going to be regulator. They all come under the ambit of the Higher Education Commission of India, where they are going to have the 4 verticals. These 4 verticals are going to create the every aspect of the activity for the higher educational institution. Now, when it comes to only pharmacy, let me tell you, this pharmacy, it is been now coming under the Higher Education Commission of India, and we are being regulated by the National Higher Education Regulatory Council. They are going to be the regulators. However, for us, the creation of the syllabus, the creation of the, the funding, all is going to be.
Sorry to disturb you, sir, but we are stuck to the first slide.
How come?
We are stuck to the first slide, sir.
Still, it is first only?
Yes, sir. That is what we are trying to convey.
Oh, sorry. Just wait. I don't know, but it is sliding. Slide is going on.
Probably the sharing has not properly happened. We can reach
now is it? You are seeing it?
Sir, PPT mode को जाएंगे तो होगा.
जाएंगे. अभी देख रहा हूँ.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It is moving.
No,
sir. Not yet, sir.
Why it is happening? One second. Now, can you see like this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because I will try to share I don't know because I just share. I'm seeing the full visibility now. Okay, is it able
No,
to?
no,
See?
no.
Oh, there is some technical issue. I don't
Yeah,
know.
there is PPT mode is a technical issue. Directly slide sharing can be better. Scrolling will be helpful.
Okay,
Yes,
I
sir.
will go like this. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But
Thank you,
for
sir.
me, it becomes very difficult because
Sir, but now the slide is not moving.
no, I'm not moving it. I have to
Okay.
move over here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I'll just come across. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
fine. That's good.
oh, I don't know. Some technical issue has happened. Uh, okay. Now, if you come across to the what regulation, the central regulation. Anyway, I have come across to all these slides. I was just talking about the history of education policy. I was talking about the national education policy. I was talking about the objective of the national education policy. Okay, so I'll just do one thing. I'll just zoom it so that you people can have a look. Okay, and then I was talking about the principle of national education policy. I have spoken what is the basic principle, why it is needed to have it. Okay, and then I spoke about the pharmacy profession. I told you field practice, other field, industry. I told you community where the people choose to yeah, this will be ideal, this will be ideal. Okay, the field practice. Okay, I told you other field where the lesser people will go but higher qualified people will go to this field, and industry I have spoken. So I've come across this. I'm so sorry to all the audience because I thought that my visibility of the slides was going on. But anyway, I spoke about the how the pharmacy profession is good enough, it's been recognized, but there are drawbacks and hindrances and reasons. Those are all because we have got all the people of non-meritorious students, non-focused, unspecialized way, mismatched curriculum, lack of ambition, low quality institutions, educators not enough salaried. I have told teachers should be paid, unskilled ways of practical learning, mismatch of the industry and the academics. I have told lack of industrial and clinical exposure. That's where the things, and then the central regulation. Okay, I've come to now the Ministry of Education is now being established, which was earlier the MHRD. Now it comes under the Ministry of Education, and this Ministry of Education comes with it comes under the Higher Education Commission of India, and this is going to regulate for all the courses, for all the, I must say, not the courses, it is going to regulate for all the autonomous institutions and the universities. Only these are going to be there. So now who are all going to be what? The National Higher Education Regulatory Council, which is, you can say, this is the going to be the apex body which is going to regulate. They are going to inspect, they are going to frame the regulations, but they will not be framing the syllabus and all. For that syllabus and all, the higher education grants, the General Education Council is going to do the syllabus, what it is to be taught. But here it is not fixed. The advantage of the national education policy is that there is a flexibility. The institution will have the right to somewhere frame their own, because the institution itself is a university. So university will have right. Okay, this syllabus we can change, we can modify, we can improve, we can attach this pharmacy, and we can add one of the art science courses because most of our students wanted to have it. So that means there is a flexibility for you. But the regulation different. Earlier, now if you see AICT or PCI is regulating to all the courses, but PCI is not funding. AICT is funding. Any GPAT student comes and GPAT examination has been conducted, and those who qualified GPAT scholarship will be paid by the university, AICT, not by the PCI. That means there is a lack of ambiguity. There is no clear picture into of adaptation and the supply. Most of the institutions, I must say, once the High Court judgment has come on 5th March 2020, many of the institutions have come out of the AICT. Now AICT gives the grants for conducting seminars. We have seen the Indira College now conducting the AICT sponsored workshop, whereas those who have come out of the AICT, they don't get funds. That's the the lack of these things, because the PCI comes under the Ministry of Health and the AICT comes under the Ministry of HRD, that is Ministry of Education. So that's a difference they are going to have. This difference will be clear. Now here the National Higher Education Regulatory Council is going to regulate, frame the regulations to which every university, autonomous institution, higher education institute needs to follow. And we will have only the accreditation, that is NAC only. We will not be having NBA and all. That means NACs become very much important. And most important, grants, you need not worry whether you are with PCI or you are with some other, you are being given grants by the Higher Education Grants Council for anything, whether it is for workshop and all. That's how these verticals have been made. And the General Education Council, to which they are going to give this General Education Council, which is the regulator, and they are also going to frame the syllabus and all. So that's how we are going to get the advantage from this national education policy. Now, what are the multidisciplinary higher educational institutions? As I told you, there won't be any institution, there won't be any affiliation. You cannot call it as a college. You have to call it higher educational institution. Okay, HEI. And here, higher educational institution, you cannot say that I want to be affiliated with so and so university and all. There won't be any concept. You have to grow on your own. That means it is an autonomous degree granting college. So you become a university, you become the degree granting university, autonomous institution, or higher educational institute. That's where. So for that, the timeline is being given. How much? Now, we are in 2022. Now by 2030, you are supposed to become yourself autonomous. You have to prepare yourself. Otherwise, you will be left out. That's how you either you've been left out, you have to close, or you have to merge to some other institution which is autonomous. That is how it is going to be. So autonomous degree granting college, but here the autonomous will be given because you need to have the multidisciplinary, like your Chanakya Shikshana Samsthe. They are all having the multi-educational institutions. So likewise, the next, the Chanakya Shikshana Samsthe is going to become the university under which your all institution like Indira College of Pharmacy and all the other affiliated institutions to this under this society will become part of it as the higher educational institution or autonomous to it. And here the next multidisciplinary institution under higher education is going to be that a teaching intensive university where most of the things are being focused on the teaching methodology. So here what is going to be, some of the institutions you can say they are only having the diploma and graduate. They don't have the PG and PhD and all. That means such type of institutions, higher educational institution is called as a teaching intensive university, TIU. That means institution with greater emphasis on teaching, but still they have to conduct significant research, because if you take 3 years course, it is a degree granting. If it is a 4 years course, because pharmacy is a 4 years course, 4th year must and should have the research, then only a degree with research will be awarded. So that means they need to be called as the degree of the teaching intensive university, but they should have the research also. Likewise, the diploma courses, wherever it is being now carried out, only they have to get converted into the graduate course. I mean, they should have the upgradation to the B.Pharm courses, and B.Pharma they should have the research. That's how. So that institute is being called as a teaching intensive university. And there is another multidisciplinary higher educational institution which is called as the research intensive university. And here the institutions with equal emphasis on teaching and research. So both is going to be competitive enough, which is going to play a very, very important role. And that's what it is going to be very important for it. And now you need to understand the 4 independent verticals, what is going to be, as I have told you, the one of the major important in this the verticals which are going to play, as I have told you. One is the National Higher Education Regulatory Council. This is going to regulate, but we have the word is being used in the regulation, the light but tight. That means they give the chance equally, they pull for anything that is not being carried out professionally. So it is similar to that of the AICT. When AICT came into existence in 1992, where pharmacy courses was included, by 1995-96, the situation was pathetic, and by 2000, any institution which is not having quality is going to face the challenge. That's how it is going to be. So this was one of the light but tight. The National Assessment Accreditation, independent ecosystem of accreditation. So those who are having NAC, they are going to play an important role. Higher Education Grants Council, disbursement of scholarships and development funds, they are going to give it. General Education Council, framed expected learning outcomes, credit transferred equivalence. So all these things that is going to be taken care by the General Education Council. So first, for us, main important is the GEC. GEC is one which is going to take care of regulation of our pharmacy course and all. You can say, I'm just talking about pharmacy, where all the other courses are also going to be there. Probably the department wise is there, they get to take care of it, and they bring up the activity. So what action we require to do? Such individuals, institutes where the the higher educational institution wanted to be, they wanted to get into that, they have to start now. Such individual institutes should practice working as a cluster. So that means they have to work as a team. Like say, probably the campus may be having some arts, science, or MBA, engineering. Then you have to get collaborate. Now you have to start in working into a cluster. How to collaborate and see that whether any interdisciplinary activity which can lead to the multidisciplinary can be carried out. That's how you need to start working on it. A single pharmacy institute or campus of institute of any single discipline should start finding academic partners. That means if you cannot get converted into autonomous, then you need to search for your partner institution in order to collaborate. That's going to be competitive, it is going to be a challenging. And then those institutes which are not accredited till date, including diploma, should initiate the process as rehearsal to get converted into higher education dreamt by NEP is going to be implemented. So if a diploma institution is thinking that we have a diploma course, so we don't have to go for accreditation and all, it is wrong. As per national education policy, it is going to be mandated. The accreditation process is going to be very, very common, because the accreditation is something like database, the documentation, document based. So that means any activity you have to carry out, it is to be documented. That's how it is self-assessment, you can say, the assessment of the individual institution activity. So accreditation is going to be part of any of the national education policy. Now, how the regulation of the higher educational institution will be done in the national education policy. Upon receiving the appropriate graded accreditations in the HEI that permits it to establish the board of governors for meeting all regulatory guidelines mandated by the National Higher Education Research Council. So here what is going to be happening is that the once say any college gets permission from any university and what they do, they appoint principal, they appoint faculty and all. Likewise, here once you are being recognized as the higher educational institution, in such a case, once it is been, you have to appoint board of governors for its activity. The regulations framed by the GEC accordingly you have to conduct the regulatory meetings, and you have to see that the implementation of activities as an autonomous is going to be carried out. And the institutional development plan, okay, which is very, very important, will be prepared for the joint participation with the board of governors, and institutional leaders, faculties and students are going to be part of it. So all the students are also going to be part of this higher educational institution, the activity. That means you make a plan, you bring out the activity which is best suitable for all, the quality teaching and the adaptation to it by the teachers and the accepted by the students. That's how it's almost how this IDP plan works. You have to plan up now. In 5 years, we wanted to change, in 10 years or in 15 years. That's how. So majorly, you have to take out in 3 components. One is support for strategic focus areas and expanding quality programs, support for holistic developments of the students, and institutional social responsibility. These are all certain things which you need to take up and you need to plan up. That's how. And regulation. Now coming up, the transforming of teaching learning process, how the national education policy is working across. It is the core essentials curriculum in all aspects to be reduced to its core essentials, critical thinking, interactive classes, experiential learning. As I have told you, these are all certain things which are going to be part of it. We have to bring up. Now coming up to majorly important, what major changes the educational, this is going to be there. I'll just try once again with the presentation of the slide. If I could able to, the answer, please check, because this slide I wanted to present it, whether it is displaying or not.
Yeah, it is displaying, sir. It is displaying.
Okay, okay. So if you see across, what is the difference between the existing academic structure and the new academic structure? What changes? The national education policy has brought not just into the we are anyway thinking directly have taken you people to the pharmacy. Now you have to think what, from where it has started, right from the childhood. The student who joins, say how it was earlier. Our courses was 2 years course where we used to study LKG, UKG, okay, after the preschool, and this 2 years, and then we used to have first standard to 10th standard. This is what it was there for us. It is there. We are following it up. Our kids are studying now. Okay, and then which is the major crucial 2 years of 11th and 12th, after which it determines whether a student goes to medical college, dental college, or to pharmacy college. So all those who are having the lesser percentage will come to pharmacy. That is what I have told. This is the basic existing academic structure we have. Now, what the new academic structure is there in the national education policy? The national education policy, earlier it was existing was 2 plus 10 plus 2. It was like this. Now that has been segregated and it has been made as 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. How 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4? The first one is called as the 5 years, which is called as the the foundational. This foundational, what it is doing in the foundational, the first 3 years where the student will be taught in Anganwadi or preschool or Balvatika, where you can say the LKG, UKG, they are going to study. It starts from the 3 years only there, and then the first standard and second standard also being studied under this. So this is of completely 5 years. Remember, this 5 years is a foundation stage. Earlier we used to see that Japan is in the school, the student is not been having examination. They teach only their holistic teachings, the skills, soft skills, communication skills, how to respect to elders, and all this was all been said. This is actually we had the 1986. What we had the national education policy was same. Then 1964, 68. But 1986, which was brought, is the present existing academic structure. So the same thing is coming now. The first 5 years, the foundation stage, it is a multi-level play, activity-based learning. And remember, these 5 years, there is no examination to the student. They have to just go, and it is all about the skill-based. They are being taught with play, and their capability, their creative thinking ability will be enhanced over there. That's how is going to be this in the foundational stage. And the next stage is the preparatory stage. Here in the preparatory stage, it is of 3 years, the third standard to fifth standard. Here, the examination comes where the student is being made to play, get enhanced in his activity, and this is a very crucial because he will be coming to a particular stage of the adolescent, you can say. Okay, and here discovery, activity-based, interactive classroom, learning, discussion, all the things comes, and this is of 3 years. And then the next stage is of 3 years, which is called middle stage. And in this middle stage, from 6th standard to 8th standard, here the student is being exposed for the experiential learning in the sciences, mathematics, arts, social sciences, and humanities. It's a multi-based, and they are being taught in order to make it more, the competitive and understand. And the next level is of the last, which is called as the secondary stage, which is very important from 9th standard to 12th standard. And here all the board examinations and all they are going to face, and this secondary stage is a multidisciplinary. Here the student will get into how he has to go for I must say that he wanted to use it for his course. Means I wanted to go for engineering, I wanted to go pharmacy, I wanted to learn pharmacy and engineering, I wanted to learn biotechnology with engineering. So all those things will decide in these 4 years. That's how this multidisciplinary study, greater critical thinking, and the flexibility and student choice of subjects. So that means amongst these, the 4 stages of the foundation, preparatory, middle, and secondary, the secondary plays very important because he has been made to think more about the critical thinking. Ideation is being created, and he will be more perfect in choosing his career. So from the existing academic structure to the new academic structure, if you see, there is a lot of more of the component of skill based, making participative to the student. It's not like bookie type. He is not understanding. Also sometimes he will make by heart and all. This education curriculum, the national education policy, will make more of the activity based. So that means the students will have more of thinking, something discussing, more of communicative. So it has a lot of advantage. So I must say that we are transforming the education system, but coming out from the existing academic structure to the new, there is a challenge. When to phase out this existing academic structure and bring up the new academic structure, it takes, because the government of the particular respective states will take a note of it, and that's how. Now if you see how the foundation, I told you, the foundation of 5 years play school, class 1 and 2 of 5 years, no examination. preparatory, which is of 3 years, class 3 to 5, when activity based, and then language will be there, mother tongue language will be there, where they have to choose local language. Hindi language is going to be very common, and examination is going to be there. And then coming up to the middle class, where the the section where they are being of 3 years from the 6th standard to the 8th, and here the other Indian languages also they can choose, and they will be having more of the vocational type choosing and critical thinking and activity based, where they decide what they wanted to be. And finally they come to the next secondary stage, where they are going to be with the foreign language semester based examination from the 9th to 12th, and choice based subjects, critical thinking, that becomes decisive for them. And then coming up to the degree level, once say the 12th has been completed, if the student comes, I'll just give example of the pharmacy over here. Let us think that the student has completed and has come to the pharmacy first year, he has taken, and first year after taking admission, now in the present existing structure, if he takes into first year, then he cannot discontinue, then he will be given a TC like discontinued the course. There is no certification, there is nothing like that, and with that, so he cannot join to any of the profession also. He has to again think of, okay, I could not study pharmacy, let me go to art something, or I will go to commerce, I will go to some any other course, that he will decide. But with the present the education policy, even if a student takes the first year B Pharma or the first year D Pharma, and if it discontinues, then he will be given a certificate as of 1 year, but he has to choose. The curriculum will change. Now the curriculum which has been decided by the GEC will be implemented, that a lot of deliberations needs to be done in first year, because he cannot say that in first year basic subjects I will study and I will discontinue. Then he will be unfit to go and join for any job after his first year. First year after studying also, he should be eligible enough to go. I'm sure my slides are moving.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, actually, and we are running a little bit short of time. It's already
okay,
12:10.
I'll just complete it
Yeah,
fast.
please.
Okay.
Please.
So first year he has to complete the certificate course, and if he has discontinued, then in 1 year, based on his specialty what he has chosen, he can join like some pharmacy technician, pharmacy assistant, something in a pharmacy store. He is eligible after 1 year also. But if he continues, say let us say he has discontinued and again he wanted to study, he has a chance again, he can come and he study it to the second year again. Re-entry is possible in any institution, not necessarily that he has left the Indira College of Pharmacy and he has to again continue study in Indira College only. He can go to some other college and he can continue his second year into that college, because he will be carrying the academic grade points which is been there in his bank, and that academic grade points will continue to him. And second year he will study, and he will say that after second year, no, I cannot study after second year, I will discontinue it. Then he will be given a diploma course over there, and with that diploma he can open his own pharmacy store if the PCI continues to recognize diploma of pharmacy and permitted to be as a registered pharmacist, and he can go for any job, or he may go as an assistant pharmacy assistant, he can work as a technician in the pharmacy college also. And again, if he continues third year, say B Pharma person who has joined for 4 years course, he will continue first year, he will continue second year, and third year also continues. After third year, he will think that no, fourth year I cannot continue because of financial problem, I will discontinue over year 3. Then he will get a degree of 3-year course. Then he is eligible to for any competitive exam and all, because after 3 years, just like BSc, B Pharma 3 years also he can take. But fourth year if he takes, then his degree is called as degree with research, because fourth year is going to be only research. Just like in M.Pharm, what you see research activity, that you will see in fourth year. That means the pharmacy curriculum has to be more of the research oriented. We have to change. So in future, when it has been implemented, national education policy which has been taken up by the Pharmacy Council of India, fourth year is going to be linked with the research. So anyone who completes fourth year, then he will be called as B.Pharm with research. Then his post graduation, right now, whoever does the B.Pharm, his M.Pharm is going to be 2 years. That means UG plus 2 PG is 6 years. Whereas under national education policy, the graduate plus postgraduate is of 5 years. So that means if you do B.Pharm, then your post-graduation will be only of M.Pharm. If you do B.Pharm of 4 years, then your M.Pharm will be of 1 year. If you do B.Pharm of 3 years, then your M.Pharm will be of 2 years, or your Pharm PB will be of 2 years. That's why the UG plus PG becomes only of 5 years. So that's how the regulation is changing. The national education policy is going to adapt. So that's why you see the UG or PG of 1 or 2 years. So based on the assessment of marks, self-assessment, friend assessment, teacher assessment, lot of parameters are available. Probably the time is very less. I may not able to take it into detail. I will go forward to bring up to you that and PhD is going to be of 4 years. Those who do, there is no MPhil. Earlier MPhil was there for BSc people and all, MSc people and all. There is no MPhil. So if you have done BS 3 years B Pharma, then you have to do for PhD of B Pharm with research. Then you can directly also join for after M Pharm post graduation PhD, which is going to be having a timeline period. So that's how what I have said is that first year, if you do certificate course, second year diploma course, third year intermediate course, it has been called, which is called as a degree. And fourth year, if you complete, it is called as the degree with course. Okay, that's how it is going to be. And fifth and sixth year like this. So all these parameters is going to be implemented into the pharmacy. Now, modification of the syllabus is to be done. Faculty will be given more freedom to design their own curriculum and pedagogy. So teachers will be having more value. So framework will be approved by the GEC, and major and minor courses, including vocational training, will be integrated. Like anyone who wanted to do web designing and all with pharmacy, that will also be integrated in this. And vocational like open distance learning courses are also going to be part. So you need not be only one degree. You can also get 2 degrees. One you can take online degree, one you can take offline degree. So these both the degrees are going to be accepted. Okay, and revised flexible criterion based grading system will be adapted to assess the students. Teaching in Indian languages will be promoted, as I told you. Regional languages have more value. Proficiency in Indian languages will be included as part of the employability opportunities. So these are all certain opportunities where going to be play important role. Faculty role after NEP implementation. Teaching duties will not be excessive. It is all practical based. Adequate time for interaction with students, conducting classes, research. That is going to be major. That is going to be major. And that's how the faculty will be given more time. And transferable will be less because you get adapted, you will be paid more. So leaving of job will be very less. However, those institutions which do not pay well, they will always have the problem. And every higher educational institution will aim to have artist in residence to accept an academic bank of credit. As I told you, the students will have an academic bank of credit that established, and he will every year whatever he studies, the academic bank will be having it, and based on that he is been given chance to mobile himself. He can join to any state, in any college, in any course. That's going to be an advantage to him. And online courses also he can take up. That all credits are going to play an important role. Like you're attending this conference, for it 1 credit you get. So all these credits plays an important role. Important, what is the role of AICT and PCI? All people may be knowing. Yes, the AICT and PCI will act as a professional standard setting bodies. They are not going to be the regulators. They are going to be professional standard setting bodies. So these professional standard setting bodies will be invited members of the GIC, or that will continue to draw the curriculum or lay down academic standards of their domains, discipline, but this will not have a regulatory role. They cannot come and inspect at all. They will frame along with the GC, the GEC, and that's how they are going to play an important role. National Research Foundation will competitively fund research in all disciplines that will fully coordinate with other funding agencies. And what are the challenges and opportunity? NEP draws increased public investment in education to 6 to 8% of GDP from current 4.43. That is what we wanted to increase our GDP by bringing up more of the educational institutions will come, funding will come, that's been adapted and expected to be implemented this by 2030 to 40. That means 10 years implementation, and another 10 years it is going to be effective for the rolling into it, and the entire policy will be operational mode. And some of the points which I wanted to go across, because the time is running out as the other speaker might be waiting. One of the interview I had given to the APTI Women's Forum on the National Education Policy on the academic perspective, if you see across some of the questions which was there, like gross enrollment ratio is 26%, skewed distribution of higher education institution, poor employability of graduates, inability to achieve basic subjects like quality, equity, access, and affordability, declining in examination standards and overall quality in institutions, with the autonomous status which is going to get. What it is my view, I said that the major root cause for all the above problems mentioned is due to the recognition of too many state recognized universities. These universities have no control of apex bodies, in particular UGC. So permission to start new courses or programs was accorded on mere online documentation that was being submitted. That has to be assessed, and I say that it should be brought into strict guidelines, and implementation for violations, anything has to be taken strict. And another most important is that faculty and institutional autonomy is one of the important aspects of quality education. And my opinion, what I have given is the flagship point of the National Education Policy for 2020 is that it helps in fostering the unique capabilities of each student by sensitizing teachers as well as parents to promote each student's holistic development in both academic and non-academic spheres. It has flexibilities in academic program that help students to choose their duration path according to their capabilities. And this National Education Policy 2020 is concept-based learning that helps in creativity and critical thinking amongst the teachers and students. And that's how I said that the techno-savvy teachers are going to be outstanding research, helps in innovation and generation of out-of-the-box ideas for economy. I wanted to say to all the teachers who are attending, be technotech. That's how it's going to be much easier for you. And another question, considering situations like present pandemic and the aim to increase the access and flexibility, policy recommends integration of the online digital learning academic program. They have said that NEP recommendation with respect to the integration of ODL and academic programs is welcoming, because every institution should adapt to the technology in the classroom, online. Whatever we are seeing now, we are able to interact so many people of 146 online. I am in Bangalore and you are all in Pune, and some people from other states, they all have joined. That's because of the online technology. So my saying was that this pandemic has clearly given the 5 years ahead thing that develop the academic curriculum. I can say that we have become more competitive, we have become more adaptive to the technology, and definitely our curriculum is going to be the best, and we need to adapt. And before I conclude, I would like to say that education, as Nelson Mandela said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. So we need to change the world. We are powerful Indians. We need to change means we have to, adapt the technology. We have to accept to this national education policy, and we all should get ready for its implementation in our own institutions. Thank you so much to the stalwarts of the Indira College of Pharmacy, Dr. Anaga Joshi, Madam Principal, the Vice Principal, Dr. Dayanand Kanur, and the coordinator for this the conference, Dr. Suvarna Pingale, and all the people behind this Indira College of Pharmacy today for this organizing wonderful, the conference of 4 days. Thank you to AICT for making also be part of it, and thanks to my management and institution for giving me an opportunity to be part of it. Thank you so much for patiently listening, and I'm sure I could have brought some light touch to the needs and requirements. And with this, I conclude. Thank you. Jai Hind. Over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much to you. It was very wonderful session, very informative session, I can say. What we have in our country is education, and what can take us ahead is education when we want to stand in front of all other developed nations. So you have given the nice information regarding NEP and very detailed information. Thank you very much, sir. So I would like to take opportunity here to felicitate you on behalf of Indira College of Pharmacy. So we all, Indira College of Pharmacy, would like to felicitate you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
ऑनलाइन में से होता वर्चुअल फ्लावर दे दे, वर्चुअल सील दे दे खत्म.
Thank you so much.
It was one of the best sessions, sir, and the energy which was flowing was tremendous. Rather, I would say it was such a fantastic session we had, and you have given a great justice to NEP and given great insights to all of us. Heartfelt thanks from team ICP, entire management, and principal ma'am too. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Madam. Thank you. Sorry, I took 20 minutes extra, but I'm so sorry because the topic is so elaborative.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Probably
Right.
2 to 3 hours in order to concise. I have
Right.
touch it. Thank you so much.
Actually, I think we need to have an entire day session for this. We should organize it.
Right,
Yes.
right, sir.
In near time future, we will do that. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much.
Indupal ma'am, very much welcome to you. Great to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon, ma'am. Heartiest
Good afternoon.
welcome to you on behalf of
Thank
Indira College of Pharmacy.
Thank you, Dr. Madhur. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and our sincere apologies for making you wait for 15
No
to 20 minutes. Yeah.
Such lectures tend to spill over at
Yeah,
times.
yeah. There's some amount of spillover which is there.
I know, I understand.
Yeah.
I'm just 2 minutes and we'll be starting.
All right. Mhm.
Good afternoon, one and all. Let's proceed to the next session of day 3 and session 2 of AICT sponsored online national conference. With delightful heart, on behalf of Indira College of Pharmacy, I would like to welcome Dr. Indupal Kaur. Dr. Indupal Kaur is ex-dean faculty of Pharmaceutical Sciences and presently chairperson, University Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Punjab University, Chandigarh. Her ongoing research program focus on bioavailability enhancement of drugs and phytochemicals using nanoparticle technology. She holds keen interest in dermal and ocular drug delivery system and probiotic and their formulation. She has filed 22 patents in past 10 years and has been granted 5 Indian and 1 US patent. She has recently transferred her 3 technology to industries. She has produced 2 postdoctoral fellows, 23 PhDs and 55 postgraduates. She is presently an advisor to 6 PhD scholars. Her laboratory is funded by a significant grant from government and industry. She has served as consultant and coordinated with more than 10 pharmaceutical companies. She has 125 high impact publications and 17 book chapters to her credit. She has delivered several talks and more than 150 presentations are being guided under us, from which 30 presentations were selected as best presentations. A book volume on nanobiomedicine and special issues of journals, current pharmaceutical design and pharmaceutical nanotechnology have been edited by her. She worked as visited scholar at Center for Dermal Research and Ernest Mario School of Pharmacy, New Jersey, US, under very prestigious Fulbright Nehru Academic and Professional Excellence Award for 6 months from November 2017 to May 2018. Now, I would like to request our eminent speaker, Dr. Indupal Kaur, to pour the knowledge to us. The platform is all yours, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pooja, for a very kind introduction. And at this forum, I also wish to extend my gratitude to Professor Kanur, Professor Dayanand Kanur, for inviting me, Vice Principal, Indira College of Pharmacy, Pune, for inviting me for this conference. And I'll just share my screen. So, are the slides moving?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So I was assigned a topic as role of academician in translational science, and I will try and do justice to the extent of experience I have with me. So whenever we talk of economic success, or we are talking of new products or new technology, so it is just possessing information or possessing any physical, prowess is not sufficient. You need to have that ability to apply this knowledge to bring out a product. And here I think we need to, work beyond our comfort zones and try and, think about advanced technologies and so okay. So we need to think in an advanced manner about new research trends and novel experimental techniques. And then I think we can talk about how our expertise or research can translate into products. And for any translation to happen, we need industry partner, both in terms of funding, scale up, regulatory, approvals, and GMP manufacturing. So, so I thought I'll just start my talk by talking about how we can actually do that handshake with the industry. So why the handshake? Industry needs research and research-based products so that we can provide them. And what do we get? We get funding from the industry for the scale up and other things, and also a recognition, and the society is also benefits out of it by getting newer products and technologies. So it is like everyone is getting a winning hand at it. The academia industry partnerships are not exactly new. They have been happening, though not so frequently. And it is important that that we, all of us, understand that any enterprise can prosper only if we follow a right strategy. And for that, we need to understand the limitations and also how I can remove this. So the key points for the scope of translation are that the research or the idea needs to be creative, the product needs to be innovative, but at the same time, we need to understand that an expensive or a complex product would not be able to catch the interest of the industry. So we need to think in those terms where the scalability, the raw material, the complexity of the process, and its amenability to the industrial processes is there. Then the time to market should be small, because the innovation must be introduced at a rate faster than the existing competition. And we need to move from the idea of not invented here or not being capable to a concept where we must be able to, embrace the invented anywhere attitude. And we have to just think of a product which is manufacturable and marketable, and we should try and bring it. So it is important for any handshake to happen that we understand the expectations of both the partners. So as far as the industry is concerned, they are looking at, when we talk of placing our students, because that is also one way in which translations happen, is that we create the skill set, the resource, the human resource, and industry hires them. So we need to have more market-aligned courses that the industry would like to hire our students. Then the manpower should be skilled, of course. And then these are the two things about the translational products, that they need solutions for concerns, for societal concerns, or for concerns which need redressal and which have a market. And then they would also look at the approach, it should be operational. While as an academic, we are looking for fundings and infrastructure, we are at times apprehensive, and while we are sharing our concepts, our ideas, our technologies with the industry, we want an equal partnership. The industry on its end also is apprehensive that will the academia deliver? Will the concept or the technology work at the commercial level? Will it be able to, actually happen at the commercial level? And then the goals have to be feasible. So where are the conflicts? So of course, commercialization of new and useful technologies, or the translation of the research, is the intercept we are looking at. So on one side, we have a university where knowledge is the primary aim, while in industry, it is the knowledge for profit. So the mandates are different. Then as an academician, we love our freedom. We like discourses. We are more open about our research. We want to share our research at different platforms. While for industry, confidentiality is important and they do not want a public disclosure. So I think the concept is more exogenous for the academia. We follow a curiosity-driven research, while the industry, it is more endogenous in the sense that they are guided by the market and its requirements. Then we are looking at public knowledge, which is reliable, while the industry is looking at new products, higher sales, more profits, commerciability, commercial viability. So, of course, one thing is common is we also want to create value for our IP. And they want to capture that value and translate into products. So there is a lot of interplay involved. So we have three partners. Academia is one partner. Then government and its funding is also another partner. And the business partner is looking at an overlap with the academia and the government. And community is whom we all are trying to feed or address. And there are a lot of things. But market need is the primary thing which needs to be met. Only then translation can happen. And for market need, there are 4 drivers. Talent is one. I think as academicians, we can say we have enough talent. Technology is another. Yes, we have the answer. But capital, we do not have. So that capital is usually provided by the business partner. And know-how and technology can be shared with the business partner, and they have some know-how of their own, which can be, which can interplay between the two, and you can do a successful technology transfer. So what are the impediments? Of course, the major thing again settles down to having different goals. So what are we looking at? Peer recognition. What is industry striving for? Survival, because there is a lot of competition. So industry is looking at immediate, maybe short-range gains, but we have a longer perspective. We are talking of things 10, 20 years hence. And industry prefers proven solutions and low risks. And for those low risks, they are looking at minimal solutions to the problem, minimal immediate solutions. While we are looking at high-grade innovation and maximal recognition or maximal solution. So maybe this idea of maximal solution makes the technology more complex with high risk involved, and that is where industry tends to back out. So we need to understand these things so as to, try and meet the industry expectations. Then industry is, of course, because it is all about profits, it's all about money. So they are concerned with the costs, while academia is looking at the actual benefits the technology can offer. So most of the times we are looking at publications and maybe to some extent at patents now, while the slogan which came up almost 2 decades ago, I remember, publish and perish, patent and flourish. But now beyond the patents, we need to look at the translational capability, the scope, the commercial viability, and things like that. So industry guards its proprietary information. It is not interested in making it public. And then some academics, they do focus on basic research, but that way I think we in pharmacy are at a better position that most of the research we are doing is applied research, and hence the industry can have an interest in our research. But a linkage, that is missing. And that could be due to lack of faith, due to lack of our capabilities, or due to lack of, being able to meet the timelines. I'll be taking that up later. So most of our faculty, many a times, complete their, education and join teaching. So we have limited industrial experience, and hence we do not feel their pain points. Then again, the continuing education, though in principle it is there, but as far as the updation of the technology is concerned, that could be partly missing. I would say that is more so in the life sciences areas, and in pharmacy, again, we keep updating our technologies. Then several universities do not have any industry institute partnership cells in place. They do not have any mechanisms evolved for the collaborations, and the industry, they shirk away from the paperwork, the bureaucracy, and the long time which is involved in the translation. So universities could be, as I said, unable to deliver within the time frame which is set by the industry. So there could be barriers in our orientation. We are more oriented towards science. They are oriented toward targets and also the working environment. And then there are transaction barriers where the IP sharing, trying to find out a common space is also at times lacking. So this has been a traditional approach where the government has been funding, and those mandates have been changing from time to time. And as a result, their research has been losing focus. At one times, there would be a lot of funding happening in cancers, then in anti-tuberculosis. At other time, the malaria could be a mandate for the government. And as those mandates change, so do the researchers try and orient their research around these. As a result, specialized research does not happen. And most of the times, the university to industry interaction or translation has been mainly as a knowledge spillover and has been unidirectional. It has not been an interactive, area. And time lag is again a concern, and usually the discovery process is slow, disjointed, and the verification has been awaited either by other university researchers or the industry. So this could be a new model where we amalgamate teaching and research, the basic and applied research, and also introduce entrepreneurship and scholastics into the academics itself. And we, instead of, looking for sponsorships, we try and develop partnerships at the very first stage. We can try and hold interactions with the industry, in and around the academic environment and also beyond that, look at their requirements and try and tailor our research into it. We have the expertise in certain areas over a number of years for 20 to 30 decades, and we can try and use that to plug the requirements of the industry. And the iterative capability of academia can be utilized, and university can help in a discovery process, and then the process can be further taken up by the industry. But most of the industrial projects have been limited till most of the translational work has been limited to the IT and the computer industry. To some extent, pharmacy has been lucky, but there is more is desired. Most of the research is funded by government agencies and not by the industry. And most of the pumping of money into societal activities have been into areas which would fetch money to the social workers or socialites like public schools, and not into academic research. And actually the philanthropy has been limited to very few people in the society, like the Tatas and the Birlas, where they contributed never to interfere with the free running of the organizations. And then corporate and social responsibility is coming up, but most of the industry are, limiting themselves to easier options of providing roti, kapda, and makan to their workers or into social organizations. But we really need to ask for a academic research langar. Langar is a concept used very popular in Punjab and in Sikh religion, where food is cooked and the meals are served to everyone, irrespective of their social status, and all of them sit together and enjoy that food. And it is provided to at places where there could be as a routine, as a social event, and also as a societal contribution at places of pandemics, of natural hazards and things like that. So we really need to ask for this type of contribution by the industry for corporate and social responsibility. Very recently, my institute has received good funding under this head from the multinational companies like Mylan or Beatrice, and also from the local company, and we are thankful to those companies. So here I thought I will just try. I don't want to end all of you on a dejected note, so I thought I'll give you a few examples from my own lab, from my experience, my professional journey. And this is my logo, Innovation to Reality, for my nanotechnology lab. And so I would try and bring up innovation or technovation here. So an innovation would be any creative process where an idea is actually translated into an outcome. And this is, the idea is prompted by an issue or a challenge or a problem which you try to meet by your technology or innovation. And for this, you need to have academic entrepreneurship also, where you are trying to create value because you want to translate it. You transfer the technology to the industry or into a product. So you want to create value for your idea, for your this innovation through organizational creation, renewal, or innovation, and in turn result in technology commercialization. So when I started way back in, I would say 90s, early 90s, 93, 94, I joined my institute as a young faculty. I did join as an ad hoc faculty in 1989, but then I was regularized in 1995. And before that, once I completed my post-graduation, that was way back in 1987, I was not sure that I want to venture into research. I actually wanted to do an industry job, but in those times, there were two limitations. One, I graduated from Chandigarh, I belonged to Chandigarh, and we did not have much industry in and around Chandigarh, which is the case still now. We are not actually a strategically placed institution in that sense, that we do not have industrial partners in and around us. And then in those times, parents would not actually want to send their daughters across to, Mumbai or beyond Delhi to Bangalore and Hyderabad to enter into industry. So my father actually felt comfortable with me continuing in the safe environment of my institute. And that is how I, started doing PhD. But then, when I thought I can't go into industry, then I decided I want to go into, teaching. And for entering into teaching, especially in a good institute, I realized I need to do my PhD. And that is how I started my PhD program. And once I completed my PhD, and when I had to start my own, research, I did a lot of my PhD program in mutagenicity testing, which was not actually into technology. So I thought I want to venture into technology, into a new area. And usually the research is motivated either by a societal need, or you are tended towards it by a friend or family. So that is how I started into ocular delivery. My husband is an ophthalmologist, he's an ophthalmic surgeon, and he suggested that there are certain anti-glaucoma drugs like acetazolamide, which is a carbonic anhydrase inhibitor, and it does not, it is given orally. You do not have a topical formulation for it. And since carbonic anhydrase is ubiquitous, so it really, tends to inhibit carbonic anhydrase at other places as well. And the patient faces a lot of side effects and tends to discontinue therapy. So that is from where I ventured into ocular delivery at that time. And for that matter, even now, we have very few pharmaceutical researchers in ocular delivery. So that is another message to all of you. So that is one area where we can venture into. And there were very few ocular pharmacologists also at that time. So I started my journey into ocular delivery. And then subsequently, I also started into nanoparticulate technology, solid lipid nanoparticles. Around late 90s or early 2000, I started with that technology. And again, I am very proud to say I was the first one in my institute to venture, to step into that area. So what I want to say here is not that I started it. What I want to emphasize here is that you need at times to step out of your comfort zones and try and take up challenges. You do get a lot of sleepless nights when you start a new area, but that is what gives you the kick also. That is what keeps you moving. That's what drives you, So another thing I want to pass on to the younger faculty or the participants who are here is that whenever you venture into a new area, the best way to learn about it is read. And when you read, so if you want to actually, consolidate that information, maybe you can try and write reviews. So when you read and you consolidate it by trying to bring out a review, you are also able to, in the during that, experience, you are able to identify the gaps or the lacuna or the points which need to be addressed, which could be of concern to the society, to the industry, or to the clinicians. So that is how I started. So I wrote 2 reviews, although the reviews were not in very high impact journal. They were in drug development and industrial pharmacy. But now when I look back, I'm amazed at the type of reviews I could write at that time. Each of them has more than 300 citations at this time. And one of them is cited in Goodman-Gilman. So we all know that is something like a Bible for all of us in pharmacology. And I was cited there somewhere in almost more than 15 years ago. And then my senior faculty, my senior teachers, professors, they actually motivate, after our classes at times, we would stand out and enjoy the sun and have tea together. And one or two of our professors actually scolded us. And they said, why don't you write projects? Why don't you get fundings? And in those times, I'm talking of, 94, 95, we did not have any computers in our institute. And you had to go out, you had to pay for it, and you had to get the projects typed. And it was an era, there was no online information, and there was no online submission process at that time. No formats were available, and you had to get it, typed, and you had to get several copies, I think more than 20 copies, and then you would, send it across to the funding agency. So that is how I submitted my first project, and I was invited to present, and I got my first funding of 6.8 lakhs. And following that, I got the second project also, which was a DST CERC fast track grant for young scientists. And that was the first call for this, which is now SERB, I think. And there was no pharmacy category in it. There was only an engineering category. I applied under that. And since it was an engineering category, so we had the chairman for that committee was IIT director, and there was another IIT director on board, and several of the applicants with me were also IITians. But again, I think what fetched me the project was that I was capable of highlighting a research gap and assuring the committee that I'll be able to address that gap. And I again got a second grant that was in, I think, 2002 or 3, another grant of 8.16 lakh at that time, which was a big grant. And now when I look back, so it was a tough competition, and yes, I was a little scared, but what gave me the confidence was my homework. I had read, I had worked, I had actually given a strong hypothesis. And so that is how I got my, projects. So this actually gave me a kick. Now I had my own research area. I started developing my own research lab. I started acquiring resources. And so this is now what I feel is that research is at the heart of all innovation. And we are looking at translating that research for societal benefits. And I really actually believe in this, that the innovation does not have to be complex. It does not have to be complicated. Simpler it is, better and easier would it be to translate and commercialize. And when we talk of research, so research, so the answers are already existing in nature. They're already there. We are just trying to find them out. And the nature is organized and simple, so the answers cannot be complex. So there are some principles which Addison gave, that you do not have to be discouraged by failures. You learn from them and keep moving forward, and learn from your head and from your heart. So that means you need to work in the laboratory, and you also need to think and develop your intellect. And many a times, I feel as scientists, you need to have very keen observation. So beyond books, beyond literature, beyond this type of knowledge, the observation is also like knowledge. So never stop learning and keep reading. And I think that is my buzzword: read, 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 and read. So you need to have this growth mindset, as I said, and a desire to learn. You will need to embrace challenges. You will need to come out of your comfort zone. You would need to be persistent, to try again. Like we've been reading the story of King Robert Bruce, who was, conquered by the enemies, and he ran, and he hid in the jungle in a cave, and there he saw that there was a spider which was trying to, climb up the web by a thin, web fiber. And the spider would fall and again start climbing, would fall and again start climbing, and eventually it succeeded in climbing. And that is what gave Robert Bruce the concept that he needs to try and try again. So that is what I feel. try again, and keep trying till you are successful. And the failures would always, as they say, it would tell you one more way by which you cannot be successful. So that is how you look at the failures. And effort is a path to mastery. Learn from the criticism of others and be inspired by other success. Do not be jealous or envious. Rather, try and see what triggered their success, what do they have which you do not have, and what do you need to acquire, and try and proactively acquire that. So I end by just discussing a few technology transfers from my lab. So this was a US patent, and then an Indian patent was also granted, where we tried to develop solid lipid sustained release nanoparticles for vitamins, though it was for several vitamins and can be applied for both oral and topical application. But the technology was transferred to a dermaceutical industry, where they are looking at the all-trans retinoic acid as an anti-acne and an anti-aging product. This all-trans retinoic acid is a very tough molecule in the sense that it has poor solubility. It is highly prone to degradation, including photodegradation and oxidization, and several patients tend to get irritable skin after application. So as a result, it would be a good way if we can improve the solubility, encapsulate it, ensure controlled release so that there is no irritation. And the solid lipid nanoparticles also offer an occlusive effect, which would improve the hydration, because most of these molecules, they cause skin drying. And so this is what I offered. And this product is also already developed by the company and is being marketed in European markets. And very soon they are also coming up with a product for the Indian market. This is another technology where we developed lipopolymeric nanoparticles for antifungal drugs. And the continuing problem with antifungal therapies is the recurrence of the fungal diseases, because the drug does not reach the fungal infections in sufficient concentration and for sufficient period of time to kill the organisms. And then as a result, since the fungi are exposed to low concentrations, they develop resistance. And since the therapy is not successful, so the patient shows poor compliance, and also there are certain side effects to the therapy. So this was my offer of using novel nanostructured lipidic systems to achieve a controlled release, improved penetration, so that the drug would reach the fungal cells in sufficient concentration for sufficient period of time to manage both recurrence and resistance. Then probiotics is another area which is very close to my heart, and we developed a probiotic formulation for topical and vaginal applications. And most of the probiotic formulations which are in market do not contain live probiotic organisms, but we are talking of the metabolic products of probiotics. So here we tried to deliver live probiotic, and the challenge was that you want to ensure or maintain the viability of the organism during manufacture and during storage. And the other challenge is that you do not want the probiotic to grow, to germinate in the formulation, because then it would foul the formulation. So so we did a few modifications and innovations, and we developed this formulation. And this was developed in so here we moved in a collaborative mode, where we moved along with the industry, and then we filed a patent along with the industry, where both the industry and my university are the assignees. So concluding with the challenges, so we are focused more on publications and patents, while the industry is looking at products. Then many a times we are limited for our imagination. So we can imagine, we can be more creative, we have more ideas, we can do much better research but due to lack of funds, we are not able to, deliver. Then faith and partnership are two key things which are required. So for that, I think, again, we need to move on a mode of relationships. We can talk to, our contemporaries from our college days who are into the industry, who have faith in our credibility, in our integrity. Then timelines is another concern, and we need to think beyond the lab, how it would be translated to the industry, how the industry can actually, manufacture it, what would be the limitations and how we can manage them. And then several times, we are using raw materials which are of high quality, grade, high purity, while the raw materials which the industry would actually use during scale up would be different. So we have to look at those things, the APIs, the regulatory processes and things like that. And then calibrations and validations on lab scale take time, but industry is looking at fast results, and at times industry is less flexible also. So in the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. That is my message to all of you. The bottlenecks, we have to have this ready to sell approach. Then innovative capacity is an interplay of several players, links, and faith, as I said, is the primary, what would I say, a primary driver for all of it. And we have to have faith. They have to develop faith in our integrity, and that what we are saying will be able to deliver and would be scalable. And we need to appreciate that industry, of course, is all about profits, but they are also looking at the societal needs. And we can have two approaches. It could be transaction focused or it could be relations focused. And this is the new concept of co-conceptualization, where you can talk of relation focused, research, and that is where you would end up in better translations. Step out of your comfort zone. As I said, unsuccessful attempts tell you one more way of not being successful: perseverance, patience, rigor, capability, expertise, experience, competence, and practices. All of them are very important. So you don't have to give up. So there is this concept of a tipping point, and they say that sometimes we are very near our tipping point when we lose patience and we give up. So one more step, one more try, and we could be successful. We could just go beyond the mountain into the success zone. So keep trying. So this is a view from some of the equipment and resources in my lab, and I say that this is my promise. Nano is what I specialize in: efficiency, versatility, simple methods, scalable, safe, stable, and biocompatible products. These are some of the collaborations I have with the industry and with the academia within India and across. So that is another keyword. You need to collaborate. You need to, try and develop ties, and because you cannot do everything yourself. You cannot be an expert in all things. You would always need help. And your research does not become, even if it is 99%, still you cannot be successful. You might need that 1% collaboration from outside. So look at those collaborations. These are some awards and accolades which were won by me. So there are no rules. What we are doing, we are trying to accomplish, and opportunity may be missed by some because it is several times dressed otherwise, and we could miss out on it. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. What a inspirational and motivational session you have given. The phrase, in the middle of the difficulty lies the opportunity. Really, ma'am, thank you very much. On the behalf of ICP team and obviously our delegates who are captivated by your session, I would like to thank you for enlightening us on the role of academician in the translation science. Ma'am, it was a great pleasure to hear wise words on the handshaking of academics and the industry. Thank you, ma'am. Very much thank you. And on behalf of ICP, I would like to felicitate you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for inviting me and for being a part of this, conference.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for the great inputs you have given. and your journey itself is so motivational that each pharmacy faculty should really, even if he is able to achieve a few percentage of that, good contribution can be done through that. Thank you so much for accepting our invite. At the time when I contacted you, you were in US, and it was in the middle of the night, midnight, when I had sent you a message and you contacted back. Really, thanks for such a fast approach. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Yeah. So I would be more than happy if even one of the participants is motivated and tries and, you know, venture into this area. And I am available all the time if anybody needs any help, any advice, any suggestions. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, ma'am. It was a beautiful session.
Thank you.
And I really loved one thing, that is academic research langar. I mean, it's such a,
yes.
it's a lovely, lovely term that you
I know.
coined for the CSR.
I have one senior who suggested that actually this should start, you know, people should start giving funds for academic research.
No, that's so true. That's so very true. We really need that.
Yes.
We really need that hand holding from industry, and that will give us so much amount of boost and motivation to do much better.
Yes.
Yeah. And ma'am, like one more request, Punjab University has always been hosting wonderful programs for faculty development. So we would be requesting you once again to continue having those programs even following years. And I would personally like to visit there and attend it in person.
I have been quite lucky to do that in 2019. We were there for the Innovation Summit, and it was really fantastic sessions we had. Thank you so much, ma'am, for that also.
Yeah. So last 2 years, we've been holding online FDPs, and the networking resource center we have is completing its 5 years now. It has completed actually in March 2022. So we are seeking extension from UGC. I hope we get it, and we'll continue doing that. Definitely.
We too hope, and if it gets extended, I will definitely
lots of
be there.
you know, best wishes I need for that. Thank you.
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
So it will surely happen, ma'am. It will surely happen. Yes.
Thank you so much. And we look forward to have you in person with us.
Yes, surely. It will definitely be there.
Thank you.
Thanks, ma'am. Yeah, have a good day.